every time we think something and then again we get any surprise when you are going into operation theater. By the time the result is, it says 75% will go for IO recession and 25% will go for myectomy. Thank you so much, Mr. Sai, to provide the result fast. Our next session starts with, I invite to chair the session to Professor Dr. Pradeep Sharma sir, and everybody knows him. In this afternoon, I am introducing third time to him. So now everybody knows him. I don't need any introduction of him. Dr. Yogesh Shukla sir is a present secretary of SPOSI, and he has got lots and lots of experience in pediatric ophthalmology. He's also chairing the session, and Dr. Santhan Gopal. He has already designed newer equipment also for the myopia. He has got vast experience in field of strabismology and pediatric ophthalmology. So over to you, all three chairpersons, and I'll just request Dr. Manju if you can call upon person, or I'll just call up. I'll just stop the share. The first speaker is
Shailja.
Yeah. So you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Ma'am, can I start
Dr.
sharing?
Shailja, we can see you and we can hear you also.
Yes,
Just
please.
share the screen. And remember, this is 3 minutes,
Yes,
mostly
ma'am.
video-based presentation, so people can discuss.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
So please give time for the people. Video or case, it's okay, but we'll learn to.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Shreya, for inviting me, and Sposi for giving this opportunity. So I would straight away go to the video, and this is a case which surprised me and puzzled me for a long time during one of my surgeries. So this patient presented with intermittent exotropia and a motility pattern which and hypertropia which resembled a superior oblique palsy of the left eye. You can see there is an inferior oblique overaction of the left eye and the superior oblique underaction. There's also underaction in the other gazes and overaction in other gazes. So I thought maybe I'm dealing with a spread of comitants and the superior rectus may be tight. So with the usual plan in mind, I first did the FDT, but the superior rectus was not tight. The superior oblique was very lax. I could not feel it on the left side on the traction test. I tried to compare with the right side. The right side was also lax. But you can see that there is bobbing of the eye across the tendon which was there. So on the left side, I usually approach from the temporal side, but I could not find the superior oblique tendon on the temporal side, and I searched it frantically for several minutes. So I thought maybe I'm dealing with a absent superior oblique tendon or what, but before labeling that, I tried to find it on the medial side, and I could find something that looked like a muscle on the medial side, but while hooking it, the tug was not quite right. I could not feel that it is attaching to the sclera any place, and while looking for it, you can see that a lot of tenons has been disturbed. So I thought maybe I should first dissect it out completely and see where it is actually attaching. I'm confirming that I've hooked the entire muscle here, dissecting it from all the fibrovascular muscle sheath. And this is my moment of truth. I can see that the superior oblique is attaching to the superior rectus here, and I never thought or read about it or heard about it from anywhere. I'm again confirming that there's no attachment. There's a hook which is passed beneath the superior rectus. You can see there's absolutely no attachment of this superior oblique onto the sclera. It's entirely attached to the medial side and the superior surface of the superior rectus in a fan shape. And you can see the glistening fibers of the tendon here. So finally, I thought it's best first to detach this from the superior rectus. And meanwhile, I'm thinking what to do. Should I resect it? Should I tuck it further after attaching? But at this point, I first thought, let me just first attach it to its conventional point of attachment. I bring it out onto the temporal side of the superior rectus muscle and attach it around 8 millimeters behind. Of course, the fan could not be. And this is a traction test. The tug was felt similar to the left side, but it was not tight as a brown side we would have expected. So I didn't want to disturb it further because I didn't know how it would behave with further surgery. So I just did an IO recession, and as you can see, the result is quite okay. The superior oblique in the down gaze, the function has come quite well. But yes, elevation limitation is there. This is just 3 to 4 weeks post-op, and I'm expecting it to improve a little bit. So the patient was happy. This case taught me that life is full of surprises, but the biggest one is all of them all is learning to what it takes to handle them. So thank you all for your patient listening.
Thank you, Dr. Seja. Over to you, Chairperson. Dr. Sharma, yes.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting case that you got to see, and it's rare that superior oblique is attached to the superior rectus. Many times we find it totally missing, or it may be a misplaced one. So it's good to that you disinserted and advanced it like a Harada Ito. So I think it's worked well. So that is the advantage of doing these tailor-made surgeries rather than doing just tenectomies or myectomies. That's what I generally say, that we should do controlled procedures. So very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Anybody wants to say? Yes, sir.
No, I would like to ask Dr. Pradeep, in such situations because when you are doing the force reduction test and these tests, and if you find any discrepancy between the two eyes, can't we do CT scan of this orbit and find out the muscle which has been reported somewhere?
No, in such a situation, even a CT scan will not be of much help, because you might see the muscle in the more proximal part to be normal. And in superior oblique, it's the tendon which has come from the trochlea. So it may not be nicely picked up. The distal parts are not nicely picked up on the CT scan. Even the ASOCT, we have compared ASOCT, and these also are not very helpful. So I think
it has been reported that we can go for these tests.
You can definitely make use of them, but you may not always depend on it. Sometimes we have seen in CFUM some cases which we have reported that the CT scan showed a muscle, but when we examined, there was none. The reason was that the CT scan is only showing you the orbital part of the recti, whereas the global part of the rectus is not developed. So that can be another situation, that you may be having on CT scan some muscle, but there is nothing on the on examination on surgery.
Thank you so much.
Surgery
Dr. Santan Gopal sir is also there, I think.
So we can move on to the
next one.
Yeah, next speaker is Dr. Shubhangi Bave. She doesn't need any introduction. Dr. Santan Gopal, are you there? Okay, Dr. Shubhangi, you can proceed.
I'm getting this screen only.
Yeah, but we are seeing you very well.
Yeah, I can.
बहुत अच्छी लग रही हैं, आप चिंता मत करो.
नहीं. I'm not getting my video. Just a minute. Can I stop share and come back again?
Yeah.
Next को कर दीजिए.
हाँ है आ गया.
So let her speak. It's in this session we are in time at least.
Just a minute.
At least in this session people are sticking to time. So I'm thankful to them. Because you are chairing, sir.
No.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see.
But I can't make it full screen.
No, Dr. Shubhangi, we can't see your screen. We can see you.
Yeah, because it's not becoming full screen. Candy?
Mr. Sai, can you help her? Nipam, can you help her doing something? She has got a very interesting case.
Madam, please share your screen, madam. That is not yet done.
No, I shared. Actually, I had opened that and minimized it because I had two presentations. So,
madam, now reshare it, madam. Just share. Click on the share button again.
Now that, just a minute. The thing is not becoming full screen. Can I just leave and come after one case?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Okay.
Till that time, we can go ahead with the second presentation. Dr. Shubhangi, you can try.
Yes, yes, I'll just try.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Atul is the third presenter. He is not here and he is not able to present. He has got some emergency at his home. So next presentation will be from Dr. Aarti Chaudhary. She has done her pediatric ophthalmology from our institutes. Let's see what she speaks. Dr. Aarti, you are able to share your screen?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Shreya ma'am, for giving me this chance. I'm going to present a case which I had seen in Drashti Netralaya only.
Can you share your screen? Are you able to share your videos?
Yes, ma'am. One second. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah, we can see your presentation.
It went off.
We were able to see, yeah.
Fine. This is okay.
Yeah.
You don't change, that was okay first. Okay, fine.
It is not starting actually, ma'am.
So it is showing Dr. Aarti Chaudhary dancing.
Why it's rotating? Yeah?
No, why she,
No. Mr. Sai and Mr. Nipam, can you help? Why it is so it's keep on rotating, it's not getting stabilized.
It is not getting started actually. I can see the video, but it is not opening.
Okay. You can talk with Mr. Nipam and Mr. Sai in the chat. Till that time, I'll invite.
Dr. Nipa Dave or Pradeep Agrawal.
I think they should.
I'll invite. Sir, sorry. Okay.
Let them be ready with the presentations.
Yes, sir. So till the time, I'll invite Dr. T.S. Surendran sir. He has got a keynote address in this session after 3 speakers. So let him speak first.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
He's a head of Shankar Netralaya Chennai, and everybody knows him. It's a wonderful teacher, and I love him to learn from him. He has got international presentations and he's got experience of more than 1 lakh OPDs and more than 20,000 surgeries. Over to you, Dr. TSS, sir. Dr. TSS, sir? Yes. Welcome. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Please share your screen, sir.
Sir, are you able to share your screen?
Your fan is moving.
Sir, it's muted.
No, but share his screen first.
Do you see share screen button green color on Zoom?
Yeah.
Can you just click on that, please? Once you click on that, select the top left icon and click share.
8861.
He's muted himself instead of sharing. Yeah.
000753.
Sir, please unmute. Yes, sir.
Dr. Surendran. Hi.
Nipam and Sai, you can help him.
Yeah, so sir, you have to just click on the share screen. That's a green icon on your Zoom window.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah. I'm able to hear you. How about
Alright.
me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can
you're
hear
audible.
you. Surendran, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. I think I fondly remember the last year conference at Chennai. So I think Yogesh Shokla looks a little more younger. I'm very happy. And my daughter Shriya also looks pretty.
Thank
So
you.
I think it is wonderful to meet and a wonderful conference arranged by Shreya. So I will just don't have slides, so that problem will not be there. What others are facing, I'll just see that surprise. I think the first case, I think in the 80s, Dr. Badrinath referred me a case with a PVR retinal detachment, and he told me to correct the squint. And I was surprised that there was no scar on the medial side or lateral side. There was a big congenital esotropia, and it was sensory esotropia. And when I opened there, already the medial rectus has been recessed to the maximum. So this was first surprise in the early 80s. And somehow I managed. I won't tell the trick how I managed. And then I think whenever I think we see the surgery part, I think we always see once the previous day, and then once the before the surgery, and then before the child is being anesthetized. 3 times we see the child, so that the muzzle, the eye, the child, all are confirmed. And such a high volume, I think we didn't have any problem because of this 3 times. And misfiring in the accommodative squints, partially accommodative squints have taken place. And parents actually looking at the Google and asking questions is another problem nowadays. And what we are doing inside recession resection, they are watching outside on a Google, not the live surgery. That is always is a problem now, and they will keep asking what all you did. And myopin, that is the low dose atropine 0.01%, is another addition now. We have been trying in the children with the myopia. I won't say that very good results. It's just still on the trial basis. And then the Botox, we started, we gave up, we started, and Meenakshi and other colleagues are still doing it in select cases. And single stage adjustable suture was done for a case of adult and unpredictable result. So in the table itself with sedation, we did the single stage adjustment. Then there are a lot of cases of retinoblastoma being pediatric ophthalmology, and they are now trying this intraarterial injection with chemotherapeutic drug, the grade 4.
Anti-metabolites, mitotics.
Yeah, apart from anti-metabolites, ROPs are on the increase, and then anterior segment ischemia occasionally we do get, and we have been trying to give fluorescent dye to see the sectoral deficiency of the dye, and then we wait for some time to re-anastomose and then take up the child if there is a second stage or third stage. And I have operated about 3 cases of cyclic squint, and they were just alternating days and not like the one which was presented earlier. Luckily, I think the 3 cases did very, very well. And apart from that, I think I also had the good opportunity of operating the grandmother, then the mother, and the granddaughter. I'm waiting for the 4th generation. So this is the 40 years experience. And I think also operated some 25 twins and 1 triplets. The main problem was that the triplets also had different angles. So I was very scared that whether the correct child comes to the theater, because one had a 70 prism, one had a 50 prism, and one had a 40 prism. Luckily, that also went off well. So it is more of mixopathy and just conveying what all I had in the thing. I'm semi-retired from academics. Even last year also I was passive, and with all my 6 colleagues taking up the lead. And Rajkot, I think I performed the first live surgery, and then followed by Chennai 96, and then 2007 we had a conference. I think 2019 we had a conference, and I also happened to see Kushner's lab, a sweeping VP, which we are trying to get at Shankar Netralaya. And I think I owe all this to my mentor, Dr. Badranath, who sent me to Marshall Parks, Jampolsky, then Alan Scott, then Richard Robb, Boston, Peterson, and also Von Nuden. So I was very fortunate to, and even Kushner and Craig Hoyt in Los Angeles. Very fortunate to see all these people. And I also did a visiting professor post in Chinese University, Hong Kong. And I'm the scientific secretary of APHOS. So we had a last week program. So I think I'm sure Sposi would join us and next December meeting. Okay. Thank you very much. I think 12 minutes is over. Yeah, I am done. God
That's what
bless
I said, that this
Thank you,
lesson is
thank you,
going in.
thank you very
our
much.
impact.
Dr.
Thank you so
Sunil.
much, sir. I'm so grateful to you.
Your 40 years of experience, and you summed up in 5 minutes. Not justified. No, we can give you 5 minutes more if you want.
I have operated more than, I think, 500 doctors, children. And again, I think somehow doctors have a fancy for me to be operated. Unfortunately, we don't get VIPs as children. So except, I think, one Prime Minister, Chandrasekhar, was there, his grandchild I operated when he was the Prime Minister for a very short time. And that was the only VIP I could remember. But I do see geriatric patients also, the Deputy Chief Minister, and right from R. Venkatraman, I have been seeing them. So it's a wonderful opportunity for me to have given this. And thank the team of Shreya for the wonderful performance. On the whole, the clarity, everything was, except I think people like Shubhaig having problems with slides. God bless and
Thank
Merry
you so
Christmas
much.
advance and Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Surendra.
Thank you, Dr. Surendra. Dr. Shubhangi, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Shubhangi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just make it short since we are at the fag end of the session. It's as it is a very short presentation. A 7-year-old boy presented with first on 2009 and then again came in 2014. He had a deviation of eyes since early childhood. Rest of the history was uneventful. His vision, fundus, everything was normal, but his eyes appeared prominent. Exophthalmometry was done, which was again appeared normal. Fundus was normal. Looking at the squint, he had a face turn to left. There was a right exotropia. The prism bar cover test was about 30 to 35 prism diopters for distance and near in primary position. The ocular movements showed right adduction deficit of grade 2 to 3, and there was a significant widening of palpebral aperture on right adduction. And there was no significant narrowing on abduction. Vertical movements were normal. So this were his 9 gaze photographs. As you can see that there was a significant widening on adduction with adduction deficit. And rest of the movements were normal. So looking at this clinical picture, the clinical impression, I couldn't think of anything, but I thought, was it an inverse Duane's retraction syndrome or whether it is a variant of CCDD? And we explored the patient. The CT scan was done. The muscle thickness reported was normal. Thyroid profile was done because he had slightly prominent eyes, but the eye muscle thickness was normal. Then we expected a tight lateral rectus with a positive FDT, but to our surprise, the force junction test was entirely normal. At the start of the, so initially I had planned doing a recession with a Y-split. I don't know why, but Y-split may be wrong. But we did a recession with Y-split, and then we explored the right medial rectus. And there was the surprise. we found it when I hooked the medial rectus, I couldn't initially find anything, and then I found a very thin hypoplastic glistening band of the tissue. So it was so thin that I left it like this. I didn't do anything to it, and since the exotropia was significant, operated the other eye, did a left lateral rectus recession, changed the plan on table. So this was the video, sorry. As you can see that there was a small tendinous medial rectus with hardly any muscle tissue in it. So it is an old video of mine, so the clarity is not very good. Post-operatively, though exotropia improved, the adduction deficit remained. The retraction also became less but remained. These are the post-op photos. Primary position, he was okay, but there was an adduction deficit and some retraction in the adduction. So, like, the dilemma was regarding this muscle. If it was an hypoplastic right medial rectus, why was the presentation the way it was? And again, I couldn't find out the cause of lid retraction and adduction deficit. So those were the references. So that was the case. The surgical findings were a surprise, and it remained a surprise even after the surgery. I couldn't find an explanation for the clinical findings. So I hope the panelists would help me. The experts would help me.
Considering that there was a limitation of adduction and there was a widening on the adduction, it goes along with the fact that there is a medial rectus on the right side was hypoplastic. So it does corroborate with that fact that there is an hypoplastic right medial rectus. So the limitation of adduction would be explained by that.
Yes.
Right?
But it's a widening of palpebral aperture, which was significant.
Yeah, so widening is happening because the medial rectus is not contracting in adduction, whereas the lateral rectus would be, by the Sherrington's law, relaxing.
Yes.
So there is a co-relaxation which is happening on adduction. So there will be a widening. So this is like not very difficult to explain.
Okay.
I mean, you were lucky that you got a primary position correction by the right lateral rectus recession, which is right. The other thing would probably be required, and I think we had a case in which there was a large 90 prisms of exo in which the adduction deficit was bilateral. And when we explored, we found the medial recti were missing. So in that case, we did the lateral rectus which were tight recession. Along with that, we did modified Nishidas. Okay. So the Nishida procedure we can use in such cases. It doesn't compromise the intersegment ischemic vascular supply and adds to the adduction.
Okay.
This also, I think that is one option which you can choose to do the Nishida's procedure for adduction.
Okay. But the lateral rectus was not tight. Maybe the...
That is good. That lateral rectus was not tight. Otherwise, you would have to do much more recession of the right lateral rectus.
Yes.
And doing the left lateral rectus actually is not going to help the adduction.
Yeah, it's not good. I just wanted at least the...
Yeah.
Initially, because of the retraction of the lids, I had planned recession of lateral rectus with the recession of medial rectus, thinking that it is a sort of nuance. But on exploring the medial rectus, we found that it is a very thin hypoplastic, so it didn't disturb it. And
it's interesting. And I think Nishidas would help you in correcting the retraction as well as improving the adduction.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Dr. Aarti, are you ready with your presentation? Unmute yourself.
Ma'am, Sai is going to share, he's going to present.
Sai, can you share? Yes.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. Here is a case I am going to present. She is 18-year-old female with right eye exotropia. We elicited the history for previous surgery. There was no surgery done. So it was amblyopia in right eye. We decided to do lateral rectus recession and medial rectus recession. As a routine procedure, we started recession first. So we did lateral rectus recession. It was done completely. Then we looked for medial rectus. As soon as we hooked it, we saw that it is inserted 11 mm from the limbus. Here is the point where we hooked it. And we saw that it is 11 mm. So, and placed it at its original position, that is 5.5 mm from the limbus. And we closed the test, and this was the post-operative result, which was very good, and patient was very happy. Thank you, everyone.
Dr. Sharma, would you like to, Dr. Shukla sir, would you like to tell anything?
Yeah, if you want to. So I think you got excellent result. You have been able to recess and advance the medial rectus, which was self-recessed. I mean, congenitally, it was no surgery was done, right?
Yes, sir, no surgery was done.
So it was having a position which is 11.5. So definitely advancement was the right thing you did. And I think it explains the good results that you got. A recession of the lateral rectus and advancement. So this is a unique situation in which you are doing an advancement as a primary procedure.
Yes, yes, sir.
Mostly done as secondary procedures after a recession which has backfired or a consecutive happened. Wonderful.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Next presentation is Dr. Nipa. Are you ready with your presentation? She is from Mumbai. She is a pediatric ophthalmologist. She is doing lots of surgeries.
Good evening, everybody, respected seniors. Thank you, Dr. Shreya. Just a small variation from the intraoperative. I have been fortunately given the permission to share a preoperative. It's not really an intraoperative, but it's just interesting. So I just thank you for letting me share this case of aberrant regeneration of a third nerve, which all of us see very often. I'll just go to my next slide. It's not the PPT, the Nipa ka PPT hai to share. Yeah, so mine is a 18-year-old female who presented with right eye squint since birth, and vision is unequal. She's slightly amblyopic. She does not have binocular function, and even though I've written that she maintains a small head posture, so there has to be some binocularity or something for her to maintain this little head posture. Very interestingly, she had a very variable angle of exotropia, all the way from nothing to drifts out to 45 prisms of right intermittent exotropia and some hypotropia with severe ptosis. I want to actually, so in each case of clinical presentation of a third nerve, we always look at the pupils, right? So I want to share this video. If you look at the pupil, the right pupil is dilated. We are shining a torchlight and the right pupil is not reacting. It's just about there. Then we bring in a near object and there her pupil constricts. So this is a clear light near dissociation, as we would call it. And we labeled it as a pseudo Argyll-Robertson pupil. So I thought it was interesting to share. We usually look for palpebral fissure changes, narrowing or widening of the palpebral fissure with adduction, abduction. So I just thought it would be nice to share this pseudo Argyll-Robertson pupil in an aberrant regeneration. I'll just go to the next video is, of course, her eye movements. So this is her severe ptosis, I think somehow when she fixes with the right eye, which is the palsied eye, she makes an attempt and there she brings that eye up. We're just neutralizing the ptosis, and this is her full abduction. There is limitation of up gaze. There is some limitation of adduction and some limitation of down gaze. Of course, it's out of a little out of the preview of a video presentation, but I just thought I'll share the next slide, which was our discussion point of how do we take care of this. The classical thing happening besides the pupillary reaction was the ptosis would increase, the lid would get, the ptosis would reduce, the lid would elevate on attempted adduction of the right eye. So we wanted to touch the medial rectus of the right eye. So these are the options that we went through in our minds. And finally, this is what we did. We resected the medial of the right eye and recessed the lateral. This is what we got. But the aim was to share the video, not to miss the pupil and not to miss this very nice pupillary abnormal regeneration of the fibers of the pupil. So thank you. And if any of my seniors have any input on if my surgical management, if there are any, I would like to take comments from my seniors. Thank you very much, Dr. Shreya. Wonderful session. Thank you.
Dr. Nipa, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Did you see the indirect reaction? You only showed the direct reaction on the right eye. Did you see the indirect on the right eye by putting light on in the left eye?
Yes, sir. It was the same.
There was no indirect also.
No, sir.
I mean,
No, but there is one thing more.
Yes, sir.
That what about the adduction part? When you're trying to do the near reflex test,
yes,
with the near reflex, did you find, because what about the near object? How much was the adduction at the time?
The convergence reflex was normal, sir. The
convergence was normal.
Yes, sir. We can go back. We were going through the video.
No, it's all right. We don't. The convergence was normal.
Aberrant innervation of the convergence innervation coming to the pupil. So this is also described. I think there is a very nice survey ophthalmology article about maybe 20 years back, in which they had described third nerve palsies, various types, even cyclic pupillary reactions. That means cyclic changes on their own also they have, and we also have seen some of these cases in which there is a cyclic reaction of the pupil. There is an aberrant innervation of the pupil. So the convergence innervation is actually going and causing that. So you are right, it's a pseudo-Argyll-Robertson pupil. In addition, you had a problem of the lid getting self-corrected by attempted innervation to the superior rectus. So in such a situation, I think what you had planned, superior rectus recession, would have been a good choice. But in addition, I would suggest doing a total anterior positioning of the inferior oblique in the left eye.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that will have a fixation duress. It will excite more innervation to come in, and that will improve the lid. So that would be without risking the intersegment blood supply, because you already done the lateral rectus. So inferior rectus should be avoided. You can do a superior rectus and inferior oblique, and that would probably serve the purpose.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So our next speaker is Dr. Pradeep Agrawal, and he is also working in this field since 11 years, and he has more interest in neuro-ophthalmology too. Over to you, Dr. Pradeep Agrawal.
Is it through the mobile?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good.
Sir, Can
You can see
you
your
see
video,
my
but
video?
your voice is breaking, Dr. Pradeep.
Can you see my
We
video?
can see your video, but now it stopped. Initially, we were able to see clearly. It's running very
Dr.
slow.
Pradeep, how is the internet connection in your place?
So this 2-month-old kid was taken for the cataract surgery without IOL. People were not dilating, so iris hook were placed in. It is okay, sir. Connection is okay. Now you can hear my voice.
We can hear you. Your video is going very slow.
My voice is coming.
Yeah, your voice is coming. Your video is going very slow.
It might be a poor internet connection at your place.
So my okay, so it's very difficult to retrieve this plug. And maybe, sir, what should I do now? Should I proceed?
Yes, please proceed, please.
So this plug every time was going behind the iris because of the increased space between the iris and the zonules. Maybe because I put the iris hook. So although this plug can be easily taken with the help of the phaco handpiece, but IOL was not planned in this case. So another base was to increase the size of the side port and could be easily taken with the help of the visco aspiration along with the anterior capsule. But I never thought that this small calcified anterior capsular plug will create so much problem, and whenever I try to retrieve it, this plug will disappear from the surgical site. So even my experience of the 10 years in the pediatric cataract surgery, this was surprise for me, and same thing I want to share with you. So sometimes this small plug was problematic to you. So ultimately this helped me. Iris hook were removed and the two side port were sutured with the help of.
I think we can stop here because nothing is clear. Dr. Shreya, you could.
We are not able to see. Only one person is left. Dr. Asha. Dr. Asha,
yes,
are you ready?
Call her, yeah.
Yeah, she's the last speaker.
Share your screen, Dr. Asha.
Asha Samdani, huh?
Unmute yourself. Asha, you are muted. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes. A very good evening to everyone, and thank you everyone for giving me this opportunity. Just bear with me a little more for being the last talk of the session. Just let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I have, this is a 24-year-old male patient with a history of deviation of right eye. He has noticed in 5 years. He has a history of twice operated squint surgery. According to the patient's history, he had the history of being operated for exotropia and then operated for consecutive esotropia. So we have asked the patient to get the old pictures. Unfortunately, he did not have any pictures older than the date of surgery. So we couldn't really understand the cause of upward deviation. So on examination, there was scar in bilateral lateral fornices, suggesting the horizontal surgery being done. And on examination, we can see that there is a right hypertropia in primary gaze of more than 45 prisms. And there is also the limitation in the down gazes, especially in adduction. There is a right suppression on Bagolini striated glass test. So the diagnosis is right eye hypertropia. query IR palsy or any query accidental IR slippage or loss during the previous 2 surgeries, because the patient has complained of upward deviation after the surgery. So our plan of action was FDT for SR and explore the inferior rectus. So this is the surgical video. We have done an FDT for SR, which was very mildly tight. So we did we went ahead with the exploration of IR. We have done a limbal incision, and here we could dissect it. And when we were making an attempt to hook the IR, we could see surprisingly that there was no IR, and we could see the 2 anterior ciliary vessels in the place of IR. So this was a case of congenital absence of IR, which was maybe missed out in the initial 2 surgeries. Then we have gone ahead with the exploring of, when we went ahead with the inverse naps. This is the lateral rectus. We have secured the lateral rectus insertion, disinserted, and we have attached it to the sclera at the presumed insertion of the inferior rectus. And then again took the bite through the muzzle so that we can secure the muzzle well. The same thing was done with the medial rectus as well. And we have secured it to the sclera. And then we have peritomy was closed. So our final diagnosis was right eye hypertropia with inferior rectus aplasia, and the treatment was right eye inverse naps procedure. So this is the immediate post-op, 3 weeks post-op the patient, in which we can still see that there is some residual hypertropia left, though it was far better than before, and even the down gazes have also been improved. But now the patient has a diplopia which is troublesome, which we could ignore previously. So we went ahead with the resurgery. We planned an inverse naps augmentation of naps. So this is the initial surgery, and now now it is after the second surgery we have done naps augmentation. So here we can see that he is orthotropic right now, and the down gaze is improved. So this is a summary of my case. Initial presentation, inverse naps has been done. This is the post-op after this with slight hypertropia, augmentation of naps was done, and this is the final patient picture. Thank you so much. I would really like to thank Dr. Pradeep for making me a part of this and guiding me all through the process of this.
Thank you, Dr. Asha. Any comments?
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
Yes.
I had one case of an hypertropia, a similar degree, but she had an coloboma also. She had a similar absence of inferior rectus. And in the same patient, as Dr. had described her first case, Dr. Tibrewal, she had an superior oblique attached to the superior surface of superior rectus. So there were both her depressors were absent, and so she had a large hypertropia.
Yes.
So
after how much time did you do the augmented inverse nap, Dr. Asha?
Sir, actually, Dr. Pradeep has operated this case. We have done the case after 2 months, sir.
So you waited for 2 months to see the result of the primary surgery?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the patient did not have any previous report that they did not see hypertropia and they operated on exo and...
No, sir. No, sir. We have thoroughly checked it. He has got the reports. He got operated in a government hospital in Jaipur. So he even got the discharge summary of that. It was not mentioned.
Which government hospital from Jaipur? not my hospital, of course. No, no, but it is very surprising. It is very surprising that that means there are two conditions. Have exotropia also and hypertropia also, and such a big hypertropia missed. It's unconvincible, you know.
There are many we see cases in which there are surgery on the conjunctiva, but the muscles have not been touched.
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I think so. That must. I was just going to say that they must not have operated on.
Yes, sir.
They didn't be able to do that. But the interesting part of this case was that in this IR was not there, and the hypertropia was there. And since the horizontal scars were there, we were confined to the fact that this may have been operated. So we could not be tackling the superior rectus, because that would mean having a intersegment ischemia. So whatever we had to do was to work with those muscles which have been probably operated, like the lateral and the medial recti. But we did not get the desired result in the first surgery. But the other thing which we wanted to present in this case was that there is always a possibility of augmenting your thing. So what I keep saying, that we need to do a titratable procedure, and we can improve the situation. In this case, we plicated those muscles which we had earlier positioned as
अच्छा, अब एक बात बताइए, ऐसे केस में तो CT scan is very much desirable, because there is no history, दोनों जगह scar है, so I think this, in such cases, CT would be helpful to see the muscles.
No, Dr. Even if it tells you that the inferior rectus is missing, you have to do the same thing.
No,
so
but
in my patient, the CT scan did not show absence of inferior rectus. I don't know. We need a special type of muscle coil
exactly.
to detect. Would Nishidas help in such a case?
Yeah, you can do an horizontal, vertical Nishida. I mean, sure, modified Nishida for inferior rectus. That too we have done in some cases, that we do it. But in this case, because it was operated lateral and medial recti, we thought of doing the naps because we had already lost the blood supply.
Yes.
I think
nice. Thank you so much, Dr. Pradeep Sharma sir.
But Pradeep ji, एक बात बताइए, did you find the lateral and medial rectus at the normal place? Because
scars were there, so whether they have been recessed or resected, we are not clear. But they were definitely operated and.
Scars were on the conjunctiva, but were the muscles displaced or?
Muscles also appear to be dissected, so the scarring in that area. But
no, but were they in normal place or they were displaced? अगर right or left को किया है तो उन्होंने.
They appeared to be normal in position, so they were not displaced. Like it was.
So that means they were not operated. I mean, LR and MR were not operated. That means.
No, they did something so that scarring was there.
Yeah, scarring was there at the sclera, but it was not recessed or resection. We were not sure.
Yeah, that is one thing is important. That means they were in normal position.
So one thing I would like to say again and again, that we should always keep our records. Whosoever is operating squint, he should definitely send with the patient whatever he has done. So that is very important for a second surgery.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Pradeep Sharma sir and Dr. Yogesh Shukla sir. And since afternoon we are sitting our junior doctors, and this special conference, pre-conference we have arranged for our very junior doctors and students also, who are going to be ophthalmologists and maybe going to be pediatric ophthalmologists. So our first session was free paper session, and there was a poster also in pre-conference. I'll just take only 2 minutes to declare the result. So let's encourage those students, they are sitting since morning. Mr. Devvrat Tiwari from CIPLA, are you here? And Mr. Karthik, they are from CIPLA people. They will announce the result. Mr. Sai, can you put the slide and announce the result? First announcement will be free paper session. There were 10 contestants in free paper session. And I'm grateful to the judges of all three paper session and posters. They worked very hard and very fast. They immediately sent the result to us. So, Mr. Devvrat Tiwari or?
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Good evening, doctors. I'm Devvrat Tiwari, madam. Yes, in free paper evaluation winner is Dr. Diksha Thorat, and runner-up is Dr. Rushi Lambani. And second e-poster winner is Dr. Mrugesha Vagela, and runner-up winner is again Dr. Diksha Thorat.
So, Dr. Diksha, Dr. Mrugesa, are you there? You can just show your face.
Dr. Rushil seems to be there. Diksha is there, yeah?
Yeah, Diksha is there, Mrugesha is there, Dr. Rishil is there.
Thank you.
At least
Thank you,
can show
ma'am.
your face.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Diksha, Rushil, and Mrugesh.
Diksha.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Good.
So there's the prize that directly goes right now to them. It's a Amazon gift voucher you'll receive right now. Thank you so much. It's a long day for all of us, but I'm really, really grateful to all of you to be with me, with our juniors, and with subject also. If there's some problem in technicality or something at, it's a world of technology. So somewhere some internet connection may have some problem. I'm really grateful to all the speakers, judges, panelists, and all the chairpersons. Tomorrow morning early.
Tomorrow morning, now there are two requests to you. One is we have to start right in the morning because Dr. Brodesky there.
It started 2:25 today, sir.
Number two, what is important?
And the first session went very well, but then I can't say everything.
No, you have to know control because tomorrow I will not be sitting for the whole time.
How are you people saying? How was it?
Okay.
That is very nice, but you have to control tomorrow because I will not be there full time. I have lunch somewhere, so I will be going in.
No problem, I'll control.
So, but you have to control. That is very important. You can't go 2 hours ahead. So, आप थोड़ा का ध्यान रखिएगा. And we start in the morning at.
Dr. Sharma, Dr. Brodsky is joining.
प्रदीप शर्मा जी वो आ गया आपके पास डॉक्टर ब्रोडेस्की का?
Yeah, everything is
joining early at 8:30. You say.
Yeah, 8:45. We'll log in 8:45 so that you know.
No, sir. Dr. Brodsky wants to check his presentation.
डॉक्टर श्रेया डॉक्टर ब्रोडेस्की से एक बार डॉक्टर माइकल ब्रोडेस्की से चेक कर लीजिएगा आप ऐसा नहीं हो कि वो
Dr. Sharma said that he checked Dr. Brodsky is joining 15-20 minutes earlier to check his presentation.
Correct. Okay.
Am I right, Dr. Sharma?
That's right.
That's what I wanted to tell.
Available at 8:30 right onwards, right?
8:30. Yes, sir. We will be on live. Yeah.
To expect others to check their screen sharing and all that, so that we can.
थोड़ा सा पहले सबको but अब ठीक है.
And thank you so much to Sai and Mr. Nipam also. Throughout the day, they are not medicos, but they are with us.
No, but they are technical people, so they are also equally important, because.
That's what I'm saying, sir.
So thank you very much.
We are not
thank you very much. Today's session, Dr. Supriya, big hands.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Well done. I think let's have a great tomorrow.
Thank you. All of you, good night.
Thank you, everybody.